A classified location in Russia, where I am strapped to a wheelchair. Heavily restrained cries as I wondered how I will be remembered after I am gone. A savior, a redeemer, an inspiring leader who united my people? I don't think so. I will only be remembered for the blood that was spilled in my name. Enough blood for 1,000 lifetimes, which is how long it feels like I lived. That is all I know. Every dark secret of the last 500 years. On the coffins of my children, I swear. I uttered, as the Red Widow stands several feet away from the floor, littered with the bodies of vampires, and thick with their blood. 2 of the Red Widow's Winter Guard teammates, Vostok and Major Mikhail Ursus the Bear, stand at opposite side of me, as I demanded to be taken away from this place, as I wished to go somewhere, anywhere, with no more blood. The Red Widow informs me that Moscow accepts my proposal and instructs Vostok to take me away. Vostok wheels me away, while Ursa Major tells the Red Widow that he is not impressed. The Red Widow asks Ursa Major if he disapproves of her methods.
Nah, your methods are just fine, Red Widow. I mean, a bit clean for my taste, but just fine.
Ursa replies, explaining that
it is Dracula. What a crushing disappointment the big bad lord of the bloodsuckers turned out to be.
As I'm wheeled away, I think this is far from the first time I've been stripped of my power. My crown, on occasion. I've even lost the head it sat upon. I know that there has always been a cycle to these things. New challenges arise and ultimately fall, and I would always re-emerge stronger for it. That cycle began in 1459 when a witch sank her fangs into my neck, and it ends here today, in a Russian basement, with whimpers and ruin. Ursa Major tells the Red Widow that you hear all the scary stories about what a monster I used to be.
To see him reduced to such a blubbering, pathetic mess, I don't know. It makes you think.
He adds,
even monsters get old, I guess.
Ursa Major remarks as they watch Vostok leads me away.
And where does one put an old monster so they never look upon them again?
The Widow asks.
You want me to eat him?
Ursa Major inquires, but the Widow informs him that Moscow wants me alive.
In case he should ever prove useful again.
Well, I doubt that.
Ursa sneers. The Red Widow remarks that I wish to go somewhere quiet and peaceful, before asking Ursa to tell her what is the quietest place he can think of in their motherland.
Well, there's one that comes right to mind.
Ursa responds quickly. Later, there is a dull glow of sunlight over a sparse Russian terrain. Trees with no leaves line a sold fence that is made even higher with rings of barbed wire attached to the top of the fence. Nuclear warning signs are attached to the fence. Soldiers standing guard open the gates, and one of them utters,
"Welcome to your new home, Count. Don't let the looks of it fool you. It's exactly what you asked for."
I reminded myself that I was born and murdered and reborn many times in my ancestral home of Transylvania. But that land was taken from me, one piece at a time, by conquerors and kings. And worst of all, by real estate moguls. I know that there is no going back to the old country. My castle has been put to the torch and my people are all but annihilated. There is no place left for me now, except what I make for myself, here in the shadows.
Nice and quiet.
Huh. One of the soldiers laughs as I, free from my restraints, stumbles past the gate and into the Chernobyl Exclusion Zone in the Ukraine, at the Solilets Penal Colony number 9 within Russia. Prisoners have been transformed into vampires and are escaping the large, sprawling prison. A voice, possibly the prison warden, can be heard over a distress call announcing that the prison is on high alert, that the prisoners are out of their cells and have been changed into vampires. He announces that they tore through the bars and are tearing through everything, including the prison guards, as bullets don't stop them. Nothing stops them. We cannot hold the prison, not without backup. Where are our country's greatest heroes? The voice calls out. Suddenly there is a powerful surge of lightning that knocks dozens of the vampires backwards. A voice from the sky calls out.
Listen to me. You boys can still wake up tomorrow, back in your cells, or in the prison infirmary.
It's Carol Danvers, also known as Captain Marvel, who adds,
Or you can not wake up at all. Choice is yours.
Come, ye suckers of blood. Come taste a mouthful of thunder.
The mighty Thor adds as he and Captain Marvel speed towards the prison.
Where is our winter guard?
The voice over the distress call asks. And at that moment, Ursa Major is struck in the face by the winged vampire beast known as the Carpathian. In the ruins of part of the prison, the winter guard have fallen.
The Carpathian wants to know if he should eat the bear.
The large dog with a flaming skull head called Sarge remarks as he looms over the motionless Lania Petrovna, also known as Darkstar.
I don't give a damn about bears.
The Shadow Colonel snaps in response as he looks out over the destruction before him.
Now, spiders, on the other hand.
The Shadow Colonel begins, turning to the hooded figure, who asked him if he wanted me, and assures him that can be arranged. But she will need something in return.
Your life isn't enough?
The Shadow Colonel asks.
Stick to killing vampires. You're out of your league with me.
The Red Widow replies.
So you made a deal with the old king. What kind of deal would you offer the new one?
The Colonel inquires.
Hey, wouldn't you like to hear our proposal?
A voice calls out.
It goes like this.
Avengers assemble.
Blade Vampire Hunter shouts as he rushes into the chamber, followed by T'Challa the Black Panther, Captain America, Iron Man, and the She-Hulk, who is currently in a massive form, towering over the others.
As chairman of the Avengers, I promise you, this vampire war ends today.
The Black Panther calls out as he leaps at Snowsnake, his glowing weapon striking a thin blade.
Who cares about the war? I want the blood of Captain America.
Baroness Blood calls out as she fires an arrow at Captain America, who blocks it with his shield as he leaps at the vampire.
You and every other Nazi, Baroness Blood. You can settle for my knuckles.
Cap responds as Iron Man blasts the Carpathian with several surges of energy.
Hey, Big Ugly, you kind of look like Dracula, and I feel like hurting someone. That looks like Dracula.
Iron Man jokes.
Get her, my lovelies. Blast the brute down to size.
The Rat Bomber calls out as dozens of rats race towards the She-Hulk and explode around her, knocking the giantess backwards. She-Hulk cannot maintain her balance, and suddenly Sarge leaps at her and tells her that the rats are here to pick her bones clean. After he tears all the flesh off them. You dog who hurt Ghost Rider, we bring someone want to meet you. She-Hulk replies. She-Hulk ducks as a large dog called Thori leaps at Sarge, biting into him while remarking, Thunder Master say you think you better murder dog than Thori. Thori make murder now! Blade slices the Shadow Colonel's machine gun in half and tells him that it will be his head next.
You're pathetic, you know that, Blade?
The Shadow Colonel responds.
You could have been a warrior in the New Kingdom, but instead you'll just be another bloodstain on my boots.
Shadow Colonel declares as he fires a blast of energy from his eyes that strike Blade, knocking him backwards. Blade decides that he could never be a hero and continues to engage the Shadow Colonel, blocking his punch. But a sharp stake suddenly protrudes from the Shadow Colonel's armor, straight through Blade's hand. You're gonna need bigger boots, Blade declares, while thinking to himself that he wouldn't be any hero. He would just be the last monster left standing. Blade then drops to a knee and slices low, cutting the Shadow Colonel's right leg off at his ankle.
You know, I take that back about the boots. You won't need boots where you're going.
Suckhead! Blade exclaims as he lunges towards the Shadow Colonel, who topples backwards. In Chernobyl, specifically the Red Forest, where nuclear warning signs are placed throughout the forest of bare trees, a crow lands on one of the nuclear signs. I think to myself that this land is scarred, irradiated, abandoned. I wondered if sending me here was the Russians' idea of a joke, but I am not laughing. They thought this land would be Dracula's coffin. Then they must have forgotten what vampires do with coffins. The battle outside the prison continues. Thor slams his hammer into a dozen vampires, knocking them back, while Captain Marvel fires a blast of energy through the head of another vampire. Blade tells himself that the Avengers are many things, but vampire hunters they are not. He knows that the Panther is still talking about cures, about doing everything he can to save the vampires. At that moment, the Black Panther is on the ground, using his weapon to hold back Snowsnake, who stands over him. Black Panther tells her that after their last encounter, he analyzed the fabric of her garments. So he knows she is 300 years old and from the Nara prefecture of Japan. He adds that he knows she served the Yagyu clan before she fell and offers to restore her honor, informing her that he has been developing some possible cures for her condition. Snowsnake makes no response before the Panther holds up his claws, which appear as needles, and he announces that he has brought all the possible cures with him. Blade tells himself that there is only one sure way to save a vamp. All it takes is a good steak, a steady hand, and a strong stomach. The Fourth Reich will! Baroness Blood calls out, to which Captain America holds up another vampire as he interrupts her.
Lady, take it from me. You're old news.
Blade thinks that all it takes is a man like him. Only there aren't many other men like him.
Ah, you day-walking bastard!
Shadow Colonel exclaims as he kicks Blade back with his severed leg.
You have no right to draw my blood!
The Shadow Colonel snarls as he fires another blast from his eye, which Blade dodges. The Shadow Colonel moves forward and punches Blade in the face, boasting that he is a pure-born vampire, stronger than Blade in every way. He claims that he was meant to feast on the humans of this world like the pigs and cattle they are. Boy Thing goes wide-eyed as Blade recovers and raises a fist to the Shadow Colonel while shouting.
You know who else said that? Every damn vampire I ever turned into a pile of stinking ash.
You know the difference between those vampires and me? I've already won.
The Shadow Colonel retorts as he fires another powerful beam of energy at Blade, while Blade suddenly yanks the boy thing from the Shadow Colonel's shoulders. The Colonel screams as Blade severs his right arm.
Nah, the difference was they had two arms.
Blade jokes as the Colonel falls to the ground, calling out for the boy thing.
Is that what you call this little guy? Man, it really doesn't like.
Blade begins before the Colonel grabs one of his legs, exclaiming that he only needs one arm to tear Blade's head off. He then overpowers Blade, slamming the vampire hunter to the ground and sending the boy thing flying into the air. The Colonel's severed hand reaches for Blade's sword as the Colonel boasts that he is going to kill Blade with his own sword.
Doesn't that seem fitting?
He asks, adding that Blade is not even worth his fangs. A voice calls out, and a moment later, the Shadow Colonel is slammed backwards, the front of his mask broken off by the powerful punch of Robbie Ray's Ghost Rider. Blade, with the boy thing now attached to his shoulders, and the Black Panther moving around Ghost Rider. The trio approach the fallen Shadow Colonel.
Guess you'll be sucking blood through a straw from now on.
Ghost Rider jokes.
That's for making me fight my friends.
He adds. Blade tells Robbie that wasn't bad, and adds that he wasn't sure he would come back. He then tells Robbie to move aside so he can finish this. The Shadow Colonel looks up at Blade, who now has two large stakes connected to his wrists, thanks to the abilities of the boy thing. But as Blade approaches the Shadow Colonel, the Panther tells him not to do it, as the Colonel is beaten.
Not if he's still breathing.
Blade replies. The Black Panther tells Blade that they will bring the Colonel in.
Your way isn't how Avengers operate.
He explains, to which Blade supposes that he is about to quit the Avengers.
No, you're not. Because you want to believe in that cure just as much as...
The Black Panther begins, before Blade uses the stakes attached to his wrists to slice off the Shadow Colonel's head.
Damn it, Eric.
The Panther mutters. Blade tells T'Challa that he does believe he will find that cure someday, but that not everybody will deserve it, and certainly not the Shadow Colonel.
Hell, not me either.
Blade adds. The Black Panther tells him that they will talk about what he deserves when they get back to Avengers Mountain.
Who said I was going back to the...
She-Hulk roars and declares that there are too many and that she has to kill all the rats at once. The Panther looks over to where green energy is radiating around the She-Hulk. He tells her to stand down as she's erupting with too much gamma energy.
You're going to...
The Panther begins too late as a gamma explosion follows.
Boy, we thought the Russians hated us before. We just blew up a Hulk in their backyard.
Iron Man remarks as he flies Captain America clear of the radius. Carol's voice can be heard over the intercom, announcing that she has Jennifer, that she is okay, just covered with rat bites and embarrassed. Captain America reports that they have lost visual on the vampires and asks if anyone has eyes on them.
Would you like to answer him?
The Black Panther asks Blade.
Yeah, Cap. There's at least one of us here, but the Legion got away again. Or, well, most of them did.
Blade replies, as nearby, Thori the dog can be seen standing over the fallen Sarge. Thori, king of all dogs. The Asgardian dog howls. Later, at Avengers Mountain.
We shouldn't have trusted those Russians.
Captain Marvel remarks as she, Black Panther and Captain America walk down a corridor lined with cells. Black Panther tells Captain Marvel that he does not trust the Winter Guard, not so long as the Red Widow is in charge, but points out that they had little choice, short of a full-scale battle with them.
Which is definitely coming at some point.
Carol suggests. Captain America reminds his teammates that the Russians still have me somewhere in hiding, and now they have a prison full of vampires.
I don't like it.
He tells them, before asking how they know the war of the undead is truly finished. The trio stops at a cell, lined with laser bars, and the Black Panther tells his teammates that he believes their friend here could answer that when he feels like talking. What I feel like is tearing your faces off. Open this cage. Sarge snarls. Elsewhere within the mountain, She-Hulk remarks to Thor that she has got to get better at controlling her new gamma powers, as she could have killed them all.
Nay, I would have been just fine.
Thor replies,
Killed us all.
Robbie mutters.
Join the club.
He adds, as he walks nearby, although Thor and She-Hulk don't react to him. Robbie soon comes across Blade, carrying several bags of weapons, and with the boy things strapped across his shoulders.
Figured you'd be headed out?
Robbie remarks. Blade replies that whatever this Dracula business is, it isn't finished, that's for sure. So until then, he guesses that he is an Avenger. Somewhat nervously, Robbie tells Blade that this is good, and admits that he has thought a lot about what he said earlier. And he is right. He does have to get this spirit of vengeance under control. Robbie tells Blade that he was hoping he could help him perform an exorcism on his car.
I'm already regretting sticking around.
Blade replies as he walks alongside Robbie. But, Johnny Blaze, the Ghost Rider sits in another realm and grins, telling Robbie that...
See you soon, Robbie. I'll see you when you come home.
Snow falls across the Chernobyl Exclusion Zone, where the decapitated body of the Shadow Colonel is slumped over in the snow, his head laying nearby. It was the Dampier Blade who did this to him, but the Colonel did his part. Baroness Blood announces as she stands on a slope with the Rat Bomber, Snowsnake and the Carpathian. Baroness Blood adds that they believe the Shadow Colonel still deserves a place in the New Kingdom. That is for me to judge. After all, he's my son, I announced as I walked into view and picked up my son's decapitated head.
Father, is this it? Is this the promised land I see? It's beautiful.
The Shadow Colonel utters. Yes, Xarus, you did well, boy. You did exactly as I wanted. We are free now. Free to rebuild stronger than ever. Welcome home, my bloody disciples, I declared as I tossed my son's head over my shoulder and extended my arms outwards. As Baroness Blood, the Rat Bomber, Snowsnake, and the Carpathian gather around me as I exclaimed, Welcome to the kingdom of the vampires!